was a groundbreaking ceremony for a new factory.
Did she mention seeing anyone who was sick? Anyone on a plane at the airport?
No, she said she was jet-lagged.
The average person touches their face 3 days. In between, we're touching doorknobs, water fountains, and each other.
A very good afternoon to everyone present. Today is a new day for the government, for the citizens of Castor, and for the world. As you may know, Castor was recently hit with the novel Improbatus Fortium 31 virus, which you can also call IMPF 31, which prompted the declaration of a pandemic across the country. This virus is identified to be quite similar to the virus that happened a decade ago, which is the COVID-19. This virus infects our respiratory tract. This virus only shows symptoms after 3 weeks of being infected, and the virus can still infect during this period of time, which is very dangerous as no one will know whether they are infected or not in 3 weeks' time. Unfortunately, this virus has also cost President Aaron Harris' life. Not only that, we also need to consider our existing problem that's already happened on this earth. One of the problems that we are having is overpopulation. It is known that our country, Castor, have an increasing amount of people, and there's also an abundance of old people and children. Secondly, there's been a drug war happening due to most of our people taking drugs as a way of escapism from their poverty. And for our third problem, our jail is very overcrowded, which is the result of us which is the result of this drug war, that I said earlier, which made the management of the jails way more difficult. And for our fifth problem, it will be the economic crisis. And for our fourth problem, it will be our economic crisis. Last year, as we all know, an earthquake has hit our country that causes our nuclear reactor to be unusable and causes massive damage to our infrastructure. This has caused billions to our land and has totally dropped our economy by a lot. Other than that, one of our state Dagon are claiming that they are better off without being tied to Castor, as we are in a lot of problems and we have been a total burden for them. And also, illegal immigrants have been flooding our countries since we have weak international border control. The reason why the illegal immigrants want to even come in our country because our ex-president Eden Harris has just made our country first opening to immigrants, and because of this, illegal immigrants are taking advantage of our weak international borders as a way for them to find work, to go out of their country to find work. On top of that, there's been human trafficking all around Castor due to previous problems like overpopulation and the influx of illegal immigrants. In addition to that, the illegal immigrant has been telling lies, the fact that conventional medicine are harmful to the user, and traditional medicine is the only way for you to cure any disease. Of course, this is something that. Of course, this is a total hoax, but since it's been spread like fire all around our country, people are thinking that this is how it is supposed to be. And also, last but not least, our former Prime Minister has been too focused on developing certain places. As we can see from the map here, As you can see from the map here, that the place in rural areas now has a very wide region divide among them. Therefore, under the new government of President Ryan Shah, we hope to work towards curbing the spread of IMPF 51, as well as reviving the economy, as well as giving solutions to our pre-existing problems. To start, To start, the government took into consideration three strategies that could be utilized to contain the virus IMPF31. We came to a conclusion that the best decision is one level as delay and vaccinate. Through this strategy, it will take a longer time for the virus to be contained, hence the name delay. But at the end of the day, there is a less likely chance of a second pandemic of the same virus breaking into our country. And because we are thinking of developing a vaccine as a way for us to cure the virus, other than just wiping down the citizen, gunning down the citizen, or just letting the virus die out by the quarantines, by a more compact quarantine. And since this thing is very delayed, we have put in motion. We have no choice but to set in motion a movement control order, which would be complete with standard operating procedures (SOPs), such as physical distancing, mandatory masks when in public, as well as the closure of school and businesses, with the exception of boarding schools and essential businesses. The research and development process of the vaccine will, however, require funding. This is where we will implement measures to counter the socio-economic problem facing our country. Firstly, the government has strategized a plan to provide jobs for those in rural areas. This involves urging overseas manufacturers to build factories on Castor soil, more specifically nearby the rural settlements in order to reduce transportation costs, as you can see labeled in the map. This will increase the money flowing into the country and henceforth strengthen the country in the economy in the long run. Over time, those living in rural areas will also gain enough money to gradually improve their living condition. Oh, and also, since we are letting other countries build their factories on our land, we automatically strengthen our bond with other countries other than just our normal third power country. Other than that, efforts will also be made to open up more job opportunities in the extension industry such as agriculture in order to put Castor's natural resources to better use, which as you can see labeled in the labeled in the map is labeled the place where natural resources are mostly found. All these jobs mentioned require unskilled labor and be targeted to those living in rural settlements across the country, as they are underdeveloped, they are a bit underdeveloped, and it's okay for them to focus more on a less educative work, so that because this a bit less educated work are for the educative work. This plan will be put in place to reduce the effects of the drug war, taking into account this to reduce the effects. In place to reduce the effects of the drug war, taking into account that citizens are abusing drugs as a means of escapism from their life of poverty. A similar strategy can also be implemented with the issue of overcrowded jails. Instead of putting all of them in jail, some of them can be given a community work such as manufacturing equipment or construction and cleansing job with slightly lower pay. This means that the convicts will be productive even during the time of insensation, and also we're going to give them a lifetime. If you were in jail, for example, if you were in jail for being caught doing something and you have to be jailed in for 5 years, then we will lessen it up. We may consider lessen your jail time by maybe even for 4 years. So it also this by this it reduce the labor cost of fixing this can also reduce the labor cost of fixing the effects of the earthquake in cities. Since our cities are all some of our infrastructure are already destroyed by the earthquake, this is a very good way for us to repair them back to start up our economy back. However, it is important to note that ownership of prisons will be handed off to private corporations, as they are more financially able to support the maintenance and management of the prison. In doing so, this cooperation will also benefit as the government will pay for each unoccupied bed in the prison. This is basically a win-win situation. In terms of overpopulation, the government has decided to allocate a part of the national budget to the building of nursing homes for the elderly as well as orphanage and care homes for children for poor families. This counters the abundance of old people and children left behind by the low mortality rate and high birth rate of citizens. We will also be introducing family planning in the secondary school syllabus. So some of you might be wondering why should we introduce family planning to secondary school students? This is so that teenagers in our country are able to know must know that we don't need to give birth to more children for to give a more to get a more stable life, but we need just a few children just for with a very high education so that our life will be to get a stable life. Aside from that, the government is also looking into the implementation of a two-child policy should the situation not improve. This two-child policy is a bit harsh. So we've been thinking about this for a while, and we're thinking that this two-child policy should only be put when we are still seeing the birth rate be gradually going up so that we can spike down the birth rate some a bit. As for illegal immigrants, the government has decided that it would be best not to integrate them into society. The unknown backgrounds of these immigrants could be fatal towards our people or cause another virus outbreak. We must tighten our border control to keep out any unwanted visitors for the safety and well-being of our people. The government plans to detain them and give them more high-risk work in areas such as fixing the nuclear power plant that has been damaged by the earthquake, unfortunately. Furthermore, the government will not be making any effort to send them back to their home country. Instead, they must work in order to earn enough money and either buy their tickets home or cover the cost of preparing themselves to integrate into society. This is, and also by doing all of these rules, I'm pretty sure that the illegal immigrants, even if we don't tighten our border controls, I'm pretty sure the illegal immigrants will be scared to be even close to our country. Once again, the country gains more low-cost labor to repair the effect of the earthquake. The power plant also just so happen to contribute to roughly 1/10 of all the country's revenues. The tourism sector has also been affected by the pandemic. And for your information, actually tourism actually give 50% of our country revenue. So this our revenue are basically just cut in half just by the pandemic. At this time, this happened because we're not going to receive any tourists outside of Castor, as this may cause a global catastrophe event, as we have seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, and yes, okay. Moving on to territorial segregation, the government plans to offer Dagon a plot of land for them to develop, which you can see as marked as blue pentagon in the map. This acts as an incentive for Dagon to stay in Castle. But we also plan to devise a national financial plan for taxpayer money. This is so that the citizen, not only in Dagon, but all of Castor as well, will be well aware of the government's plan to improve the community and develop the country. Through this, we hope that Dagon will reconsider separating from Castor, as we will really not want the inhabitants of this island to be divided by an international border. Lastly, as for post-isolation, we hope to improve foreign relations once our economy is back up and running. This will be done by holding diplomatic visits to other countries and engaging in international trade. Furthermore, we plan to export our nuclear energy source to other countries once our nuclear power plant has been revived, in hopes of encouraging technological advancement and as an effort to improve foreign relations. Oh, and also just another fun fact that nuclear weapons are actually one of the highest revenue for international trade. As the as the as the pandemic soon subsides our vaccine is discovered, we also plan to open more tourism in mountainous areas in order to increase urbanization and create more jobs for future generation. This could include mountain guides for hiking and mountain climbing. It is hoped that this policy will prove effective in improving the economy for the betterment of the country, and it is hoped that all parties will be able to give their utmost cooperation in ensuring that this export is successful. Now, we'll be accepting some questions from the viewers. That's all. That's all for me. Thank you for lending your ears. That's all for me. Thank you for lending your ears on my.
Okay, so we have the first question. Don't you think it is inhumane for us to put illegal immigrants in dangerous places? Yes, we need to care for our locals, but they're human as well. See, the thing is that they are illegal immigrants, and the fact that they came to our country is they came to our country illegally. See, for this matter, we have to make a tough decision, which is to that we have to choose to not put them into our society, and we are not putting them in a dangerous place for say to take their lives. No, we are putting them there because at the end of the day, we have to make the tough decision because at the end of the day, someone needs to do this job, which is to fix the nuclear power plants. And if it's not the illegal immigrants, it will be our people. And since we have the availability of these illegal immigrants, since they came to our country, we might as well give them some work, which is to help revive the nuclear power plants, as opposed to just detaining them and having them wait around for nothing. At least they can be productive in our country. Thank you. The second question, when do you think you can settle this pandemic? I don't think that it is I don't think that we are able to put a specific time frame on it. It all depends on how well these policies are carried out, and as well as how much cooperation the public gives us, how well the citizens of Castor are able to work with the government in order to achieve this effort. And that's to say that the vaccine, the research for the vaccine will go smoothly. We hope to end this pandemic in the span of about less than 5 years. But that's to say that the research for the vaccine goes well. If it does not go well, it could even stretch up to 10 years or more. So yes, that we cannot put a specific time frame on this solution. We must. It's all based on the cooperation and the help of the citizens as well as the government, and how well our economy does in the future based on all these policies that we implement. Thank you. All right. We have one question from Alia Amirul. What do you think is the time period for this pandemic to be over with your policies and initiatives, especially considering that you're separating women and men labor? It could cause unrest among. I'm sorry, this question seems to be incomplete, but I will answer the citizens who do not wish to be separated. All right. Thank you for that question, Ali Amirul. See, we realize that although these men and women are being separated, they're not being separated forever. We are not putting them in strict conservative like areas. We are simply putting them to work in different locations because we find that the men, they work better in areas such as they work in certain areas better compared to women, and women have different specialties compared to men, and therefore we cannot put them together. It is not that we do not have any workplaces where men and women work together, or we do not have any community areas or communal areas where men and women may interact. We are not separating them forever. We are simply putting them to work based on their specialties. Therefore, they may still interact with each other, and that's why we say we have the backup plan that is the two-child policy, just in case that this policy of separating the men and the women does not solve our issue of high birth rate. Thank you. How do you make, the next question is from Muhammad Faisal Mahmoud. How do you make sure the citizens follow the MCOs and the SOPs? See, we will go into detail on this with a full document in the future. A full document will be a full guideline will be released by the government. But for now, what the government plans is that for every person, say a business, they do not follow the MCO and they operate even though they are not an essential business and they have not gotten any clearance from the government. See, we will for this. For this, we'll find them first, and after they have been fined once or twice, given warnings, therefore we will consider taking away their license to operate, and therefore they could be. If they continue to operate, they could be jailed or they could be yes, they could be jailed. And for the SOPs, we will also be putting some fines. We will also be giving fines to those who do not follow the SOPs, such as things that are mandatory such as the mandatory mask in public and physical distancing. See, we will also be making these requirements necessary for areas such as for public areas such as malls and hospitals. So if they do not practice this, they will be asked to leave or they cannot enter the premises. Thank you. I think that is all the questions for today. Thank you for listening and thank you for all your questions. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you have a pleasant day.
like nigga. Move out the way, please don't be a